Hi, this is Daniel Gumby Vreeland from Sportskeeda MMA, and today I am joined by Gina Mazany, who fights Shanna Young at UFC Vegas 53. That fight is on April 30th. So, Gina, first of all, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So, I'm going to start, unfortunately, with the stuff nobody likes to talk about, and that's rebounding from a loss. So, obviously, the last fight, you come out and you look great in the first round. You absolutely dominated her. You won the first round on every judge's scorecards. You get tagged and stopped in the second. Looking back at it, how do you feel about the stoppage, being able to watch it, and what were maybe some of your big takeaways from that fight?
So I do think that was like one of my better fights to date. I felt like I looked the best. I feel like all the skills I've been building throughout the time were showing, and like I was pretty much every shot I took her down, and like my discretion, which I never really voiced, was the referee standing us up. Like, obviously my game plan was to take her down and beat her up, and then I'm in guard and I'm beating her up, and then he stands us up, and I'm like, what like, I'm obviously trying to take her down, like she didn't even try to get up, and then the ref just stood him up. So that part like really sucked, but it's one of those things that's completely out of my control, so I can't sit there and dwell on it for a minute. I was like, I took it really hard, but what are you gonna do? Like, the more you bitch about it, it's not gonna change anything. But yeah, rebounding from it, I want to make it a point to make sure that like this next fight that I'm prepped, I'm ready, and I'm ready to be in one of those situations if I do get clipped, and I'm either gonna shoot or I'm gonna throw back really hard. Like, but yeah, I've learned a lot of skill building over the past year. Just trying to get better, trying to improve my game in every direction: striking, grappling, wrestling.
I'm curious too, because it's sort of a hot button issue right now in MMA. Judges and referees and sort of the inconsistency that comes along with having so many of them. Is that sort of a frustrating part of the game? Because you're sort of, you said you can't really plan for the judge you have or the ref you have, but it is something that affects the fight every single time, seemingly.
Oh, 100%. And it's like going back to the judges where it's like, you really, that's one thing I've been really loving about training at Glory MMA with James Krause, is he takes the consideration of the judges and like winning. And the fist fight, like a fist fight has completely changed over since I started fighting. I started fighting 10, 15 years ago. And before, it was just it was a lot more cut and dry of what a win and a loss was, like what MMA fight looked like, what it was when you're winning, what it looked like when you're losing. But now it's like, you take someone down, if you're holding them down, you're not doing anything. Like with the guy in bottoms elbowing, like, do you give that to the guy on top who's holding you down, or you give it to the guy in bottom who's being really active? If you're in a striking situation, the guy's backing up the whole time and he's striking, but the other guy's pressuring and kind of eating it. Like, who's winning that? You know what I mean? Like, the one guy's got cage control, but the other guy is striking. So it's like, it just kind of, it depends on like what judge you got that night. So it's frustrating, but I'm really hoping I get to finish this fight so I don't even have to deal with any of that.
And I want to ask you too, you mentioned in there that James Krause has been a big help to that system and into understanding, what the judges are thinking and what each judge might think. Has that sort of been like more in the actual fight, like in between rounds? Or are you talking like he talks to you guys about that kind of stuff in the gym?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. In the gym. Like, oh yeah, it's interesting working with James Krause, because I've never met somebody so like nerdy over the sport, and he's a nerd over it. But the way he dives into it is like, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that is something we should be looking into. So it's like, you fight, you're beginning the round, you're beating your ass, whatever. And then, you end the round, like every round we got to end, and we got to end with an exclamation point. Cause like, then that's the last thing the judges see. You know what I mean? Like, if you take the girl down for 4 minutes, and then the last minute the girl stands up and is just toasting you up, then do they give it to me that I had control for 4 minutes, or do they give it to the girl who toasted me up for a minute? So it's definitely something that is in the gameplay, and like adds into my fighter IQ, just a little bit more knowledge for me to hopefully win.
You're back in the Apex for UFC Vegas 53, that fight against Shanna Young. So Shanna is another fighter who's been fighting up at bantamweight where you used to fight. She's very physically strong, coming down to 25 to meet you here at flyweight. How do you feel like that size discrepancy, or if there is a size discrepancy, plays for you in this fight against her? And if so, how do you get around that with the skills?
My thing is like, yeah, she's coming down from 35 to 25. Great, good for her. I come down, like I'm a big 25er. Like I started my cut at like 57, 157. Like I'm a big 25er. But mind you, I don't get like fat. Like I'm a big girl. Like I can, but I just have to diet strict for 10 weeks, 10 to 12 to 15 weeks sometimes. But it's worth it to me to go through that process and be strong. And I'm sure she's going through it too. And I'm sure it sucks for her too. Like I'm sure she's dieting and weighing all her food and doing the jam. But it's at the end of the day, we're both going to weigh on the scales at least 126, and you can only get so big, like physically, and to the point where it's like, if she gets up to 150, like she's probably going to feel like trash. Like that's not a healthy weight to put on, you know what I mean? So the size, I'm not really too worried about it. Like I fought girls that are 6 feet tall. I fought at 155. I fought at, like I fight dudes in the gym all day. So it's like, I'm not really too worried about her size and her strength and stuff. That is definitely a factor, but I'm pretty strong. I'm pretty big. So it's nothing I'm too concerned about. I'm just more concerned about myself.
You said that you want to go in there and you want to get a finish. So give us a prediction. How do you see this one ending on April 30th?
Oh man, anything will do. I would obviously like, I just feel like I've been working on so many cool things. I mean, snatching a neck would be cool. A knockout would be awesome. I just want to put a statement because I'm really good, and I put so much time in the mats, and I work really hard. I don't think I always give myself enough credit. The fact that I'm saying it out loud is like, it's a big deal. And there's no reason why I shouldn't be finishing girls. There's there's no reason why I shouldn't be getting these finishes, chokes, submissions, knockouts, whatever. But at the same time, like she's good, she's good, she's tough, and she's durable, and she's been through some wars and stuff. And I'm definitely not like, being like, oh, I'm just gonna run through her. That's not the case at all. I just know my own abilities and my skill that I'm very capable of finishing and being really violent. So something around those lines, hopefully something violent. That's my prediction. Violence.
Well, we're looking forward to that violence. And once again, fans, this has been Gina Mazany, who fights Shanna Young at UFC Vegas 53, that fight on April 30th. Gina, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.